The colony lights flickered across the dusty plains of the human settlement. Ships from many worlds had landed here before, but that night, one ship carried someone very different. When the doors opened, a small figure stepped out. She was No. Taller than a child, her frame thin, her skin pale with a soft silver glow under the moonlight. Her large violet eyes scanned the crowd with nervous caution. Every human around her looked down, whispering, "She's too small," one man muttered. "She looks like she could break with one touch," another said. Some laughed quietly. Others shook their heads. Her name was Lyra. She came from a distant star system where gravity was heavier. On her planet she was considered normal, but on the human colony she appeared fragile, almost doll-like. She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling the cold stares press against her. Among the crowd was a young human named Daniel. He was not like the others. His gaze did not carry laughter or judgment. He watched her carefully, noticing the way her shoulders tensed, the way her hands trembled. He felt something stir inside him, a strange need to protect. Lyra walked slowly into the colony. Each step seemed heavy, not because of her size, but because of the weight of being unwanted. She had traveled across galaxies seeking safety, but here, she felt smaller than ever. Her heart pounded when she passed groups of humans. Their voices followed her. "She's no soldier. She's no worker. She's nothing. She will never survive among us." Lyra pretended not to hear. She kept her head low, clutching the small silver pendant around her neck. The pendant carried the symbol of her people. It was the last piece of home she had. Daniel found himself following her. He did not know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe pity, or maybe something more. He watched as she struggled to carry a bag nearly half her size. Her steps faltered, and suddenly, the bag slipped from her weak arms, spilling onto the ground. The humans nearby only laughed. One of them shook his head. "Told you, too small." But Daniel stepped forward. He bent down, picked up the bag, and held it out to her. Lyra blinked at him. Her violet eyes widened. She expected mockery, but his face was calm, almost kind. She hesitated, then took the bag back, her small hands brushing against his strong ones. A spark passed between them, quick but undeniable. "You don't have to carry it alone," Daniel said softly. Lyra lowered her gaze. She wanted to reply, but her voice was caught in her throat. No one had spoken to her with kindness since she left her world. He walked beside her, ignoring the whispers of others for the first time since arriving. Lyra did not feel completely alone. That night, in her small assigned room, Lyra sat by the window, staring at the strange stars. She touched her chest, right where her heart beat. Something was different every time she remembered his voice. Her heartbeat quickened. It frightened her, but also warmed her. She whispered to herself, "Why him? Why now?" On the other side of the colony, Daniel sat with his friends, but he was not listening to their talk. His mind was on the small stranger. He replayed the moment her eyes met his. He had seen fear, but also strength, hidden deep inside her fragile form. The colony slept, but both Lyra and Daniel stayed awake, connected by a silent thread they could not explain. The next day, Lyra walked through the busy streets. Humans still whispered, still doubted. But when she caught sight of Daniel, her chest eased. She had never known this feeling before. It was as if destiny had placed a giant in front of a tiny girl, testing them both. When Daniel smiled at her, a small, shy smile, Lyra felt something stir in her core. Something her people had warned her about, something forbidden. Her hands trembled. Not from fear this time, but from the unknown. She turned away quickly, afraid of what was awakening inside her. But destiny had already begun to weave its story. The girl who was too small, and the human who saw more than size. Their lives had crossed, and nothing would ever be the same. Lyra woke early, the alien dawn spilling pale light into her small room. She wrapped her thin cloak around her shoulders and sat by the window. The voices of yesterday still echoed in her ears. Too small, too weak, too fragile. But in the middle of those cruel words, She remembered one different voice, Daniel's. She replayed his kindness again and again. He had bent down to help her when no one else moved. That simple act burned in her memory. It was strange how one moment could feel heavier than an entire journey across stars when she stepped outside. The colony was alive with sound. Machines hummed. Traders shouted. Children ran in the dusty streets. Lyra felt every gaze fall on her. She walked quickly, wishing to vanish, but her small figure always stood out. Then she saw him, Daniel. He was carrying supplies, his strong arms lifting crates with ease when his eyes met hers. He paused. A small smile touched his lips, not mocking, not cruel, but real. Lyra froze, her heart thumping. She almost turned away, but Daniel stepped closer. "Do you need help finding the food hall?" he asked gently. Lyra hesitated. She wanted to refuse, to avoid more stares, but something in his voice calmed her. She gave a shy nod. They walked together through the crowded colony. At first, silence wrapped around them, broken only by the sound of machines. Daniel tried to make small talk, asking about her ship, her journey, but Lyra struggled to answer. Her words came out soft and broken, as if her throat was unused to kindness. Still, Daniel listened, never rushing her, never laughing at her strange accent. He found her silence almost musical, like she was speaking even when she did not. Inside the food hall, humans stared again. Some whispered, "Why is he with her? What does he see in that tiny alien?" Lyra heard every word, her chest tightening, but Daniel ignored them. He guided her to a corner table. Shielding her with his presence, she looked at him, confused. Why do you sit with me?" she whispered. Daniel tilted his head, surprised by her question. "Because you deserve it," he said simply. Her eyes widened. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. On her planet, she was just another face. On this colony, she was too small, too weak. But in his eyes, she was something else entirely. As days passed, Daniel found himself drawn to her more and more. He taught her how to use human tools, how to find her way through the colony. She began to speak more, her soft voice carrying stories of her homeworld, a place of heavy gravity and endless mountains. She told him how her people survived storms that could crush steel. Daniel listened, fascinated. He realized that though Lyra looked fragile, she came from a race of survivors. Her body might be small, but her spirit was stronger than most humans he knew. Sometimes at night, Lyra sat by the training yard and watched Daniel practice with other men. His movements were powerful, confident, yet when he looked at her, his eyes softened. It made her chest tighten in ways she did not understand. Other aliens noticed too. A tall reptilian merchant warned her, "You walk too close to humans, little one. Your kind is not made for them. Your body will break. Your heart will shatter." Lyra lowered her gaze, but her mind refused to obey the warning. When she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel smile. When she dreamed of his voice. One evening, rain fell on the colony. The sky darkened. Lightning split across the horizon. Lyra stood alone under the shelter, her cloak soaked. Daniel appeared, rushing toward her. He grabbed her hand without thinking, pulling her into safety. Their hands touched, warmth spreading like fire. Lyra gasped softly. Daniel looked down, realizing he did not want to let go. For a moment, the storm outside vanished, and the only sound was the thunder of two hearts. Lyra's violet eyes searched his face. She wanted to speak, to confess the strange pull she felt, but fear tied her tongue. Her people had always warned her. Love with a human is forbidden, impossible, dangerous. Yet as she stood there, trembling in his arms, she realized danger had already entered her heart. Daniel saw the fear in her eyes, but he also saw something else, something fragile and unspoken. He did not push, he did not demand, he only whispered, "You're safe with me." That night, Lyra could not sleep. Her chest glowed faintly under her skin, a strange reaction of her alien body. She touched the light, confused and frightened. She whispered into the dark, "What is happening to me?" She did not know it yet, But the bond between her and Daniel was awakening something deeper than she imagined. Something her people feared. Something that would change her life forever. The colony slept under a blanket of silence. Machines slowed, lights dimmed, and only the hum of distant engines echoed in the night. But Lyra could not sleep. Her small hands clutched the glowing mark on her chest, a soft shimmer that had appeared. After the storm, she sat near the window, watching the dark sky. Her heart raced whenever she thought of Daniel, every time she remembered his touch. The light under her skin grew brighter. She tried to cover it, afraid someone might see. That night, she heard voices outside her room. 2 alien traders passed through the narrow corridor. Their hushed tones carried through the thin walls. "Did you see her with the human?" one whispered. "She is too small. Her kind was never meant for this," the other replied. "If she continues, it will destroy her." Lyra pressed her back against the wall. Her breath quickened. Were they speaking about her? She pulled her cloak tighter, hiding the glow. Her people had warned her before leaving her home. Human bonds were dangerous. Their biology too different, their love too consuming. The whispers followed her the next day. When she walked through the market, other aliens stared. Their eyes carried pity, some carried anger. A reptilian merchant hissed softly as she passed. "Little one, do not fall for the human. You will shatter." She wanted to argue, to tell them they were wrong. But deep inside, doubt gnawed at her. She was small, fragile, and Daniel was strong. What if they were right? What if her body could not endure what her heart desired? Daniel noticed her silence. "Lyra, what's wrong?" he asked one evening as they worked side by side. She shook her head quickly. "Nothing," she whispered. But the glow beneath her skin betrayed her. Daniel reached out, gently catching her hand. "You're trembling," he said softly. Lyra pulled away, hiding her hand. Her chest ached with confusion. She wanted to tell him, but fear held her tongue. That night, she dreamed. The dream was strange and vivid. She stood in a forest of shadows, her small figure dwarfed by endless trees. Whispers filled the air, voices of her people. Too small, too weak, too fragile. They circled her like ghosts. Her chest burned with light, and when she looked down, she saw a mark spreading across her skin, glowing brighter. Suddenly, Daniel appeared in the dream, his tall frame breaking through the shadows. He reached for her hand, and when their fingers touched, the whispers screamed louder. "Forbiddance, forbiddance, forbiddance." Lyra woke with a gasp. Sweat covered her skin. The glow from her chest pulsed brighter than ever. She covered it with her hands, whispering, "What is happening to me?" The following day, she tried to avoid Daniel. She thought distance might quiet the voices inside her head, but destiny never listened. She found him waiting outside the food hall, his eyes warm, his smile calm. "Lyra," he said gently, "you don't have to walk alone." Her lips parted. She wanted to speak, but before words came, another alien stepped forward. It was the tall reptilian merchant who had warned her before. His voice was sharp. "Human, leave her." "She is not meant for you," Daniel frowned, his jaw tightening. "She can choose for herself," he replied firmly. The merchant hissed, his eyes narrowing. "If she stays near you, she will break. Her kind is not built for love with yours." Lyra's chest tightened, her heart pounded. She wanted to shout, to defend Daniel, but the glow beneath her skin betrayed her again. The merchant's eyes caught it, widening in shock. "It has already begun," he whispered. Daniel stepped in front of Lyra, shielding her. "Enough," he said, his voice steady, protective. The merchant's words echoed in her mind, even after he left. "It has already begun." She looked down at her trembling hands. Was the glow inside her body a warning, or was it something else entirely? That night, Lyra wandered to the far edge of the colony. The lights faded into darkness, and only the stars remained. She whispered into the silence, "Why him? Why now?" The stars did not answer, but deep inside her, the glow pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. It was not pain. It was not weakness. It felt like awakening. When Daniel found her sitting alone, She looked at him with wide, uncertain eyes. "Daniel," she whispered. "Something inside me is changing." He sat beside her, his presence strong and steady. "Then we face it together," he said. Her chest burned with light, brighter than ever. The whispers of warning still haunted her, but his words drowned them out. In that moment, Lyra understood. She was no longer just a small stranger. She was part of something bigger, something forbidden, something unstoppable. The night sky stretched endless above the colony. Stars shimmered like scattered fire. But Lyra felt only the heavy throb of her heart. For days she had avoided Daniel, trying to bury the whispers, the warnings, the fear. Yet no matter how hard she tried, she always felt his presence. That evening, the glow beneath her skin returned, stronger than before. It spread across her chest and arms like faint silver veins. Lyra wrapped herself in her cloak, hiding it. She was terrified, but at the same time, a strange pull guided her toward the training yard. Daniel was there, alone. His broad shoulders moved as he lifted heavy weights, his breath steady. The air around him carried warmth, strength, and something deeper. When he turned and saw her, his expression softened instantly. "Lyra," he said quietly, placing the weights aside. "You've been hiding." She looked down, her voice a whisper. "The others were right. I shouldn't be near you." Daniel frowned, stepping closer. "Who decides that? Them or you?" Her chest tightened. She wanted to run, but his eyes held her still. She could not escape the fire that burned inside her. Her trembling hands clutched the pendant at her neck. "You don't understand," she whispered. "My people warned me. Humans and my kind, it's forbidden. Our bodies, our lives. They don't fit together." Daniel's voice was steady, yet fierce. "Lyra, I don't care what they say. I only care what you feel." His words shook her. She lifted her eyes slowly, meeting his gaze. For the first time she saw no doubt in him, no hesitation, only truth. Her voice cracked. "I feel afraid." Daniel stepped even closer, the distance between them fading. "Afraid of me?" Lyra shook her head quickly. "No, afraid of myself. Afraid of what's happening inside me." Her glowing marks pulsed brighter, silver light seeping through her cloak. Daniel's breath caught. He reached for her hand carefully, as if she was glass. When their fingers touched, warmth surged through her entire body. The glow spread brighter, wrapping both their hands in light. Lyra gasped, trying to pull back, but Daniel held gently. "Don't hide from me. Lyra, whatever this is, we face it together." Tears welled in her eyes. No one had ever said such words to her. All her life, she had been small, fragile, pitied, and ignored. But in Daniel's presence, she was not weak, she was more. The whispers of her people screamed. In her head, forbidden, impossible, dangerous. Yet the fire in her heart drowned them out. Her trembling voice broke the silence. "Daniel, I don't want to run anymore." The moment stretched. The night held its breath. Slowly, Daniel cupped her face with his hand. His touch was warm, steady, grounding. Lyra leaned into it, closing her eyes. The fire inside her roared, silver light, spilling across her skin. When their lips met, it was like the universe shifted. The glow flared, surrounding them in a halo of silver and gold. Daniel pulled her closer, his strength wrapping around her small frame. Yet instead of breaking, she felt whole. The forbidden moment became real. Two lives colliding against every warning, every doubt. When they pulled apart, Lyra's chest glowed brighter than ever. Her breaths came fast, her heart pounding as if it might burst. "What have we done?" she whispered. Daniel smiled softly, though his own heart raced. "We told the truth." But the truth carried cost. From the shadows near the yard, unseen eyes watched. The reptilian merchant who had warned her before narrowed his gaze. His hiss was sharp, filled with anger. "Foolish girl, you have sealed your fate." Lyra felt a sudden chill, as if danger had already begun to form around them. She clutched Daniel's hand tighter, terrified of losing what she had just found. That night, when she returned to her room, Her body shook violently. Her skin shimmered with light, and a deep ache burned in her stomach. She collapsed to her knees, gasping, "Something is changing inside me." Her reflection in the mirror showed more than fear. Her small frame glowed with life. Her eyes, once only violet, now shimmered with flecks of gold. Lyra whispered into the dark, her voice trembling, "This is only the beginning." And somewhere deep inside her fragile form, the first spark of something impossible had taken root. Days passed after the forbidden night. Lyra tried to act normal, but nothing was the same. The glow in her chest no longer faded. It pulsed day and night, a constant reminder of what had happened. She hid it beneath her cloak, but she could not hide the strange weakness growing inside her. Her steps became slower, her breaths shorter. At times, she felt dizzy, almost faint. She tried to tell herself it was nothing, that her small body was simply tired. But deep down, she knew something was changing. Daniel noticed first. He watched her struggle to lift even light objects, watched her hold her stomach with trembling hands. His concern grew heavy. "Lyra, you're not well," he said softly one evening. "You need to see the medics." She shook her head quickly, fear flashing in her violet eyes. "No, Daniel, they will know. They will see what we've done." But her body betrayed her one night while walking through the colony square. Her legs gave way beneath her. Daniel rushed forward, catching her before she struck the ground. The glow beneath her skin flickered wildly, stronger than ever. The crowd gasped, whispers rising. "She's changing. What's happening to her? This is not natural." Daniel carried her to the medical wing, ignoring every stare. His jaw was tight, his eyes filled with worry. Lyra tried to protest, but her voice was weak. Inside the sterile chamber, scanners hummed. Machines surrounded her small form as she lay trembling. Doctors exchanged nervous glances as strange readings appeared on their screens. This can't be right," one whispered. "Her body is adapting, reshaping. But why?" another muttered. Daniel leaned forward, his voice sharp. "What's happening to her?" The chief medic hesitated, then looked at him with wide, unbelieving eyes. "She is carrying life," he said slowly. "She's pregnant." The room fell silent. Daniel's heart slammed in his chest. He looked at Lyra, her fragile body trembling on the bed, her wide eyes filled with shock and fear. "Impossible," one of the doctors said, shaking his head. "Her species cannot. This should not be." But the scans were clear. Deep inside her tiny frame, a spark of new life flickered, half human, half alien. Lyra's lips parted, her voice barely a whisper. "A child. Mine and his." Daniel reached for her hand, his grip firm, steady. "Ours," he said softly. The doctors stepped back, unsure whether to call it a miracle or a curse. The whispers spread quickly through the colony. Within hours, everyone knew. Some called it a sign of unity, others called it an abomination. Aliens shook their heads in disbelief. "She's too small, her body will break." Humans argued among themselves. "No hybrid can survive, it will kill her." Lyra lay awake that night, the weight of their words crushing her. She touched her stomach gently, a strange warmth flowing through her. Fear battled with wonder. "Am I strong enough for this?" she whispered. Daniel sat beside her, refusing to leave. His eyes never left her. "You are stronger than anyone here knows," he said, "and I will not let anyone take this from you." Tears slipped down her cheeks for the first time. She did not feel completely afraid, but the danger grew quickly. The reptilian merchant who had once warned her spoke loudly in the market. "This child will bring ruin. The girl will die. And the human with her. Stop this before it spreads." Tension thickened in the colony. Some feared her, others pitied her. Some even demanded the pregnancy be ended for her safety. But Lyra refused. Her trembling voice shook as she told Daniel, "I will not give up this life, even if I am small, even if it costs me. This child is mine." Daniel clasped her hand, his jaw set. "Then I will fight the whole colony if I must." The days grew harder. Her body ached under the weight it was never meant to carry. Yet the glow inside her grew stronger, spreading warmth through her fragile frame. At times she thought it would break her, but each time Daniel's hand steadied her. His voice reminded her she was not alone. One night, she felt the faintest flutter inside her. A movement so small, yet powerful enough to bring tears to her eyes. She gasped, clutching Daniel's arm. "It moved," she whispered, trembling. Daniel's eyes widened. He placed his hand gently against her stomach, and for a brief moment, he felt it too. His breath caught. "Lyra." "It's real, so real," she smiled weakly, her tears glistening. "The universe said I was too small. But look at me now." The truth was undeniable. The small alien girl who was once mocked, pitied, and ignored now carried the most impossible miracle of all. A life born from love that defied every law, every warning, every whisper, and though fear still haunted her, Lyra knew one thing for certain. This child was not a curse, it was hope. Asterisk. The news of Lyra's pregnancy spread like fire across the colony. Everywhere she walked, eyes followed her. Some were filled with pity, others with anger. Many whispered that she would not survive, that her body was too small to carry such a burden. Lyra felt the weight of their voices every day. Her steps grew heavier, her body weaker. Each morning she woke with pain in her stomach, her skin glowing brighter than before. She pressed her hands against it, whispering to the life inside, "Hold on. Please hold on." Daniel never left her side. He brought food, water, blankets. He carried her when her legs gave out. His presence was unshakable, but the pressure around them grew. The doctors warned him. Her bones are too light, her frame too small. If she continues, she may die. Daniel's jaw tightened, his eyes burning. If she chooses to fight, then I will fight with her. At night when the colony slept, Lyra lay awake in pain. Daniel sat beside her bed, holding her hand. Sometimes he whispered stories of Earth, of green fields and blue skies, trying to ease her fear. She listened quietly, her eyes closing, imagining those places she had never seen. But the colony was restless. Groups gathered in the markets, voices rising. The child is unnatural. It will destroy her. End this before both worlds suffer. One evening, Lyra and Daniel were stopped in the square. The reptilian merchant stepped forward, his voice sharp and cruel. "Look at her. She can barely walk. This is not courage. This is madness. She will break. And her death will stain this colony." Lyra trembled, her small frame shaking under his words. Daniel stepped in front of her, his voice like steel. "She is stronger than you will ever understand, and this child is not a curse. It is a miracle." Crowd fell silent. His words carried fire, but their doubt remained. Lyra leaned against him, whispering, "They are right. I am too small." Daniel turned to her, his eyes fierce. "No, Lyra. You are more than they will ever see. Your size does not define your strength." Her heart swelled with his words, but the pain inside her grew worse. Some nights she screamed softly into her pillow, her body bending under the strain, yet she never once said she wanted to give up. One night, as storm shook the colony, Lyra collapsed. Her body glowed so bright it lit the room. Daniel lifted her in his arms, racing to the medical wing. His voice broke with fear. "Stay with me, Lyra. Please stay." The doctors surrounded her, scanning, whispering, shaking their heads. "She cannot survive the birth," one said. Daniel's voice thundered. "She will survive. She has to." Through the pain, Lyra reached for his hand. Her violet eyes glistened with tears. "Daniel, if I don't, promise me you'll protect the child." His heart broke at her words. He gripped her hand tightly, his voice shaking. "Don't you dare say that. You will live. Both of you will live." Her glow pulsed stronger, filling the room. The machines struggled to read her vital signs. Human and alien biology clashing inside her fragile form. Yet somewhere within the chaos, the baby's heartbeat echoed clear, steady, alive. The sound silenced everyone. Daniel's breath caught. Lyra's tears fell. It's strong, she whispered. Our child is strong. The doctors were stunned. Impossible. Her body is failing, but the child is thriving. Daniel bent close, whispering into Lyra's ear. Do you see, Lyra? This is proof. You are stronger than all their doubts. Her trembling lips curved into a faint smile. Her body shook with weakness, but her spirit held firm. Then I will fight. Until the end. Outside the medical wing, the whispers grew louder. Some demanded the pregnancy be ended. Others prayed for her survival. The colony was divided, fear clashing with hope. But inside that room, only two voices mattered, Lyra's and Daniel's. Their hands remained locked, their hearts beating in unison. The struggle was not over. The danger was only growing. But in that moment, Daniel knew one truth. Lyra was no longer just the small stranger who had stumbled into the colony. She was a warrior, carrying life in defiance of every law of nature. And no matter how much pain, no matter how much fear, she would not give up. The storm raged outside, lightning splitting the sky. Inside, Lyra whispered with fragile strength, "For love. For our child. I will endure." Daniel pressed his forehead against hers, whispering back, "And I will never let you fall." The storm had passed, but the tension inside the colony was heavier than ever. Lyra's condition worsened with each passing day. Her body trembled under the impossible weight. Her breaths shallow, her glow brighter, yet her eyes still held fire. Refusing to give up, the doctors warned Daniel again. Her body is at the edge. If she attempts birth, she may not survive. Daniel's voice was steady, though his heart ached. Then I will stand with her, even against death. The night of the birth came quietly. The colony streets were silent, everyone waiting. Some prayed she would survive. Others whispered it would end in tragedy. The medical wing filled with hushed voices, the air thick with fear. Lyra lay on the bed, her small frame glowing with unbearable light. Her hands clutched Daniel's tightly. Her whisper was faint but filled with strength. "Stay with me. No matter what happens." Daniel pressed his forehead to hers, his voice fierce. "Always, Lyra, I will never leave you." The pain tore through her like fire. Her body shook violently. Doctors rushed around her, their voices frantic. "She's too weak, she won't make it." But Lyra screamed through the pain, her voice raw. "I will not give up. This life will live." The glow from her chest spread across her body, bathing the entire room in silver light. The machines could not keep up, alarms blaring, but no one could look away. Daniel held her hand tighter, whispering, "You're stronger than all of them. You can do this, Lyra. You can." The final cry echoed through the chamber, and then silence. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Everyone held their breath. Then, a sound broke the silence. A cry, high and fragile, but strong. The cry of new life. The doctors froze in shock, staring at the small child in their arms. Its skin shimmered with faint silver glow, its tiny hands curling tightly, its eyes opened, bright with violet flecks mixed with human warmth. Lyra collapsed back on the bed, tears flooding her eyes. "Our child. It's real," she whispered, her voice weak but filled with wonder. Daniel's hands trembled as the doctor placed the newborn in his arms. He stared down at the tiny being, part human, part alien, and yet something more. His voice broke as he whispered, "A miracle." He placed the child gently in Lyra's arms. Her fragile hands shook as she held it close. Her tears fell onto the baby's skin, glowing faintly under her touch. "I was too small," she whispered, "but love made me enough." Daniel kissed her forehead, whispering, "You were never small, Lyra. You were always greater than all of them." The doors of the medical wing opened, and the colony gathered. Their eyes widened at the sight. For the first time there was no laughter, no cruel whispers, only silence. The reptilian merchant who had once mocked her stepped forward. His cold eyes softened. His hiss came out low. "Impossible." Yet alive, the child's cry echoed again. filling the room with a sound no one had expected. Not a curse, not a disaster, but life. Pure and unshakable. Slowly, whispers turned into awe, a miracle. A child of two worlds. Hope, Lyra's chest still glowed faintly, her body weak, but her spirit soared. She looked at Daniel, her eyes shining. They doubted us. They said I would break, but look. She lifted the child gently, showing it to the crowd. This is proof. Love is stronger than fear. The colony stood frozen. Their fear began to melt, replaced by something rare, respect. Daniel's arm wrapped around Lyra, his voice steady as he faced them all. This child is not a curse. It is a bridge, proof that two worlds can become one. Silence stretched, and then, slowly, one by one, the crowd lowered their heads in acceptance. Some even stepped forward, their eyes soft. The whispers of doubt that once haunted Lyra were gone, replaced by whispers of hope. As the baby stirred in Lyra's arms, she pressed her lips against its small forehead, her heart full, her voice soft. You are the future. Our future. Daniel kissed her cheek, his eyes wet with tears. And you, Lyra, are the bravest soul I have ever known. The colony that once laughed at her size now stood in awe of her strength. The girl who was once too small had carried the greatest miracle of all. That night, under the quiet stars, Lyra held her child close. She was no longer the small stranger, no longer the fragile outsider. She was a mother, a warrior, a symbol of hope. And with Daniel by her side, she knew their story was only beginning.